At a glittering charity gala, a powerful CEO collapses on stage, watched by his terrified daughter and saved by the nurse he once fired. What begins as a medical emergency unravels into a powerful story of redemption, second chances, and unexpected love. How far must one man fall to realize what truly matters? Stay with us. This is a story that just might change the way you see strength and healing. A grand charity gala is underway. Crystal chandeliers sparkle above guests dressed to the nines, while diamonds catch the light and champagne flows freely. Tonight, the social elite have gathered not just to be seen, but to open their checkbooks for children in need. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the CEO of Rhodes Hospitality Group, Mr. Evan Rhodes. Evan Rhodes confidently steps onto the main stage. His tall, commanding presence draws every eye in the room. At 42, he's the picture of success, handsome, powerful, wearing a perfectly tailored suit that speaks wealth without a word. Applause fills the hall as he takes the podium. "Good evening, everyone." His deep, confident voice echoes through the room. "I'm honored to be here tonight with friends and colleagues to share my commitment to making a difference." His face radiates perfection, an embodiment of power and control. Not a hair out of place. No hint of doubt in his expression. As CEO of Rhodes Hospitality Group, I believe social responsibility is not optional, it's mandatory. That's why tonight, I'm proud to announce that the Rhodes Foundation will donate $10 million to build 5 medical centers in underserved communities. In the front row, Ellie Rhodes, age 7, watches her father with admiration, beautiful in a pink dress, her innocent eyes shining with pride. Beside her, the nanny stands solemn and attentive, making sure the little girl behaves properly at such a prestigious event. Evan continues with steady confidence. "With this $10 million, we will change lives." Without warning, his hand suddenly trembles on the podium. A drop of sweat rolls down his temple. His pupils dilate rapidly as his breathing becomes shallow and labored. Ellie." He pants, his voice suddenly weak, barely audible. The microphone slips from Evan's hand, crashing to the stage floor with a loud clang and a piercing feedback noise. His tall frame wavers for a moment, then collapses onto the stage with a heavy thud. The crowd erupts in gasps and exclamations. "Oh my God, what's happening to Rhodes? Keep rolling." This is going viral fast. Camera flashes blaze as smartphones are raised to capture the moment one of America's most powerful CEOs lies helpless. In the front row, Ellie's face changes from admiration to utter horror. "Dad, please don't leave me like Mom did," the little girl shouted in desperation. Tears streamed down the little girl's pretty face. She broke free from the nanny's arms and ran toward the stage in panic. "Ellie, wait," the nanny called after her but couldn't hear her. At the drink service area, Nora Bennett was serving drinks in a simple but elegant black dress. At 35, she had a natural beauty that didn't need any touch-ups. She looked up at the commotion, eyes wide as she realized this was an emergency. Her professional instincts kicked in immediately. "I'm a nurse. Let me through," she called out with unexpected authority. Crowd. Partway, Nora quickly moved through the crowd, pushing past the frozen onlookers, jumping over a small decorative barrier, her dress flowing as she ran. "Please move aside. Medical emergency," she commanded, her voice cutting through the chaos. She reached the stage steps, taking them 2 at a time, but was stopped by security. "Ma'am, you can't go up there." A guard stepped forward to block her. "Heart attack. Every second counts. Move aside," Nora replied with fierce determination. Without waiting for permission, she pushed the guard away and rushed to Evan's side, immediately kneeling next to him. Her trained hands performed precise life-saving moves, checking his pulse on the neck, turning him into the recovery position, loosening his tie and collar, tilting his head to keep the airway open. "Call 911 immediately," she directed nearby staff with commanding presence. "Tell them it's likely a cardiac event. Male, over 40, currently unconscious, but with a pulse. Everyone please step back, give him space, and turn off the cameras." The crowd stepped back a little, but cameras kept flashing, capturing every vulnerable moment of the powerful CEO. Ellie climbed onto the stage, weaving through the crowd, and sat down next to her father. "Dad, wake up. Dad, please wake up," the little girl cried. "Dad, wake up. Dad, please wake up." she sobbed, her small hands tightly gripping his sleeve. While still monitoring Evan, Nora gently pulled Ellie into a protective hug, shielding the girl from the terrifying sight of her unconscious father and the camera flashes. "Listen, sweetheart." Nora's voice softened but stayed reassuring. "Your dad's heart is very tired, but we're not going to let him go. I promise you." One hand on Evan's wrist, monitoring his pulse, the other holding Ellie. Cut. From Evan's blurry, unfocused view, an image appeared. The image of Nora holding the little girl felt strangely familiar, reminding him of a treasured family photo. His eyes fluttered briefly in recognition, then closed again. In the distance, sirens began wailing louder as emergency responders approached. The overhead shot showed a triangle formed by 3 figures against the backdrop of the chaotic evening party. Evan lay still. Nora knelt protectively, Ellie clinging tightly to both. In the blink of a heartbeat, everything had changed. For a man used to controlling everything, for a child who had lost so much, and for a woman who was supposed to be just passing through. The sirens peaked as medical staff rushed through the door, running toward the stage with their equipment. In a luxurious hospital room, Evan lay unconscious, an IV drip in his arm and monitors beeping steadily beside him. The highest level of medical care, but still unable to hide the weakness of the man lying in the bed. His eyes slowly opened, confusion giving way to bewilderment, then irritation. He tried to sit up, wincing from a sudden headache. Dr. Anderson, a well-known doctor with silver hair, approached the bed holding a tablet. "Mr. Rhodes, please stay still. You had a severe fall." "How long have I been here?" Evan asked, hoarse but regaining calm. "Almost 24 hours. You're severely dehydrated and exhausted. Your heart shows signs of stress that worry me deeply." The ECG interrupted him abruptly. "I don't need the details." "When can I leave, Dr. Anderson's expression grew serious. "Mr. Rhodes, this isn't just fatigue. You're showing early warning signs of heart failure. Your blood pressure is dangerously high, and your stress levels are uncontrollable. If you don't make major lifestyle changes, you have a 70% chance of serious heart disease within 5 years. Evan scoffed, reaching to remove the IV. "I've heard these scare tactics before. Doc, I run 6 companies. Stress comes with the territory." The door opened, and Nora entered with Ellie. The child's face lit up. "Dad, you're awake." She hurried over and climbed onto the bed to hug him. Evan's expression softened for a moment as he held his daughter, but hardened again when he saw Nora. "Why is my daughter with you?" he asked sharply. "Who are you?" "Why is my daughter with you?" he asked coldly. "I'm Nora Bennett, the volunteer nurse for the event. Last night, Ellie wouldn't leave your side, and the nanny asked me to stay with her because she seemed comfortable with me." Evan clenched his jaw. "Fine. Now that I'm awake, there's no need for that anymore." "Dad, no," Ellie protested. "Miss Nora is so kind. She told me stories and promised that you'd be okay." "Ellie," Evan's tone softened when he spoke to his daughter. "I don't need anyone's help. We're fine on our own, like always." Nora quietly watched before speaking up. The Rhodes children have an incredible knack for sensing things. Sometimes they see what we try to hide. Evan glared. "I don't need philosophy from a volunteer nurse." Nora answered steadily. "The answer you're looking for isn't in the conference room. Mr. Rhodes, it's right beside you." She gave Ellie a meaningful glance. Ellie was clutching her father's arm tightly. The doctor stepped in. "Mr. Duong, I really advise you not to leave. We need to run more tests and schedule a follow-up next week." Evan brushed it off and unplugged the monitoring cables. "I have a company to run." Nora stepped forward. "You know, the human body has its own way of sending messages when we're off track. It keeps signaling until you listen. The real question is, how serious does that message have to be for you to pay attention?" Evan paused. For the first time, he saw Nora not as an intruder, but as someone speaking an uncomfortable truth. A flicker of weakness crossed his face before his walls went back up. "I've managed just fine for 2 years without anyone's advice," he said, his voice a bit less harsh. "Daddy," Ellie whispered, "please don't be mad at Nora. She saved you." In that moment, something changed in Evan's eyes. He realized his daughter had witnessed his breakdown, that she feared losing him, just like she lost her mother. It was a crack in his perfect armor. 3 days later, Evan returned home to his spacious penthouse apartment. Ignoring the doctor's orders, he was surrounded by laptops and phones, constantly giving orders in a video meeting while Ellie quietly played in the corner. His home office. The doorbell rang. Evan's butler appeared at the office door. "Mr. Rhodes, Ms. Bennett is here to see Ellie. She brought some books." "But you turned her away." Evan interrupted without taking his eyes off the screen. The butler hesitated. "Sir, Ellie has been asking to see her since yesterday. She said, Ms. Bennett promised to bring her a special gift." Ellie immediately brightened up. "Nora's here." "Daddy, please." Evan sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. "Okay." 10 more minutes in the living room. A few minutes later, Nora walked into the living room, where Ellie was eagerly waiting, carrying a small tote bag. Evan stood as she was carrying a small tote bag. Evan stood at the doorway, arms crossed, watching. "Ms. Nora!" Ellie rushed toward the woman. Nora hugged her tightly. "Hello, sunshine. I brought you something special." She reached into her bag and pulled out a children's book about the human heart and a small teddy bear dressed in a doctor's coat. "This is Dr. Tim." "Yes," Nora explained, handing the bear to Ellie. "He's really good at listening to worries and making people feel better." Ellie hugged the bear tightly. "Can he make my dad's heart better too?" Evan shifted uncomfortably at the doorway. Nora smiled gently. "Yes, your dad's heart is very strong, but even strong hearts sometimes need care." Evan stepped forward, frustration evident. "Ms. Bennett, I really appreciate this gesture, but Ellie has plenty of toys." "It's not just a toy," Nora replied calmly. "It's a way for Ellie to process what's happened. Kids need tools to understand scary experiences." Evan sneered. "And what do you know about hearts, let alone parenting?" Ellie hugged Dr. Hartwell even tighter. "Dad, don't be mean." Something flickered in Nora's eyes. Not anger, but a deep determination. "Actually, Mr. Rhodes, I know quite a bit about hearts. I was an emergency cardiac nurse for 8 years before becoming a community health nurse." Evan raised an eyebrow in surprise. "And about your second question," Nora continued steadily, "I know that pain affects children differently than adults. I know that sometimes we need to allow ourselves to be afraid for the ones we love." "Ellie, sweetheart." Nora turned to the little girl. "Sweetheart." Nora turned to the little girl. "Why don't you take Dr. Hartwell to see your other toys? I need to talk to your dad about grown-up stuff for a minute." As Ellie left, Nora's demeanor subtly changed. "Mr. Rhodes, I'm not here to overstep. I'm here because your daughter has called me 3 times from the nanny's phone, crying because she's afraid you might collapse again." Evan lost his composure. "She did what? She lost her mother, Mr. Rhodes. Now she's also afraid of losing you. That collapse has stirred up all those fears." Evan ran his hand through his hair, temporarily escaping the image of the executive. "I didn't realize that children don't always tell us how they're feeling. They show us." Evan studied Nora with newfound interest. "You said you were a cardiac nurse. Why did you leave?" Nora's expression became so tense it was almost unrecognizable. "Unrecognizable. I reported a hospital administrator for covering up a patient's death due to negligence. 3 months later, I was fired for performance issues that didn't exist before I reported." "You threw away your career over an incident?" Evan asked incredulously. "I stood by my oath." Nora corrected him firmly. "Some promises are worth keeping, even at a high cost." Their eyes locked. 2 strong-willed individuals recognized something in each other. Evan's phone rang, breaking the moment. "I need to take this," he said, reaching for it. Nora nodded, gathering her bag. "Of course. I'll say goodbye to Ellie." As she walked away, Evan called after her. "Ms. Bennett, thank you for what you did at the gala." Nora turned back, giving a slight smile. "I was just doing my job, Mr. Rhodes." "Evan," he said, surprising himself. "My name is Evan." "Evan," she gently repeated before leaving, the name hanging in the air like a bridge beginning to form between them. 2 weeks later, in the lobby of the Department of Child Welfare, Evan sat stiffly in an uncomfortable chair, his lawyer beside him, fingers tapping nervously on his knee. A rare look of anxiety from the usually composed executive. A stern social worker, Ms. Graves, sat across from them. reviewing a thick file. "Mr. Rodas, we've received concerning reports about your health and your ability to provide stable care for Ellie," she said without preamble. Evan leaned forward. "My health is fine. That incident was a one-time occurrence. According to your medical records you authorized the court to review during the initial custody hearing. 3 different doctors have advised you to reduce stress and take a medical leave. You've refused every time. I'm a single dad running multiple companies. I can't—" "Mr. Rodas," Ms. Graves interrupted. "The court granted you full custody after your wife passed because you proved you could prioritize Ellie's needs. Recent events suggest otherwise." The lawyer chimed in with legal arguments, but Evan barely heard. A cold fear enveloped him, a fear worse than any health issue, the possibility of losing Ellie. That night, Evan's driver sped through the city to take him home. His mind was racing. He made multiple phone calls and cut off every possible connection. When he got home, he was surprised to find Nora sitting with Ellie in the living room. They were building a human heart model together and laughing. "Ms. Bennett," Evan said awkwardly. "I didn't know you were visiting today." The housekeeper quickly appeared. "Sir, Ellie was very sad after school. She kept asking to see Ms. Bennett. I took the liberty of calling her. I hope that's acceptable?" Ellie ran to her dad. "Dad, Ms. Nora is teaching me about the heart. Did you know your heart has a special muscle that can get tired if you don't rest?" Evan's jaw clenched. He instructed the housekeeper to take Ellie to the kitchen for a snack. Once it was just the 2 of them. His calmness shattered. "They're threatening to take her away from me," he said, his voice cracking. "Child welfare. They're questioning my parenting ability because of what happened at the gala." Nora's expression was filled with concern. "Evan, I'm so sorry." But his pain quickly turned into anger. "Is that why you keep showing up? Did they send you to evaluate me?" "What? No. First, I was at the hospital. Now in my home. Always watching, always judging how I raise my daughter." Nora stood up. "This isn't what it seems, is it?" His voice rose. "With all your expertise about children and hearts and whatever else you think you think you understand my family. You think you know what's best for Ellie. I'm just trying to help." "Help?" Evan laughed bitterly. "What do you know I sacrificed to keep her safe after Sarah died? Do you know what it's like to hold your child while she cries for a mother who will never come back? I sacrificed to keep her safe after Sarah passed. Do you know what it's like to hold your child while she cries for a mother who will never come back? I have been everything to her father, mother, protector for 2 years. I don't need anyone telling me how to parent." "Evan," Nora said firmly, "this isn't about your parenting. It's about your health, about Ellie being afraid of losing you. What do you know about family? You spit. The pain that made you. You spit. The pain that made you ruthless. You're just a stranger passing through our lives." Those words hit like a powerful blow. Nora stepped back, tears welling up. "You're right," she said softly. "I am a stranger. But sometimes strangers see things that family can't." She packed her things and moved toward the door. She paused, turning back. "When you're ready to listen to the truth instead of just hearing your fears, speak up. Call me, not for me, but for Ellie." After she left, Evan stood alone in his vast, empty living room. From the kitchen, he heard Ellie's voice. "Where did Ms. Nora go?" The question hung in the air, unanswered. Late night in Evan's home office, rain pounded against the floor-to-ceiling windows. He sat in the dim light, a glass of untouched whiskey beside him. On his desk, a school photo of Ellie, a picture of his late wife Sarah, and his medical records. His phone buzzed with urgent work messages. He ignored them. Instead, he typed Nora Bennett, the whistleblower nurse, into the search engine. Articles appeared on the screen. Top cardiac nurse files negligence report against Memorial Hospital. The whistleblower nurse was fired after exposing patient safety concerns. The medical board's concerns proved the nurse's claims true 2 years later. Evan read intently, discovering that Nora's allegations were ultimately proven correct, but only after she lost her professional career and reputation. She refused settlement money, only asking the hospital to improve its safety procedures. A soft knock interrupted him. His housekeeper, Mrs. Chen, appeared at the door. I'm sorry to disturb you, Mr. Rhodes, but Ellie is having nightmares again. She's asking for Ms. Bennett. Evan raised a hand to his face. I'll go to her. In Ellie's room, butterfly-shaped nightlights cast soft shadows. She clutched Dr. Hartwell tightly, her eyes red from crying. Hey, princess. Evan sat beside her. I dreamt that you fell down again, Dad. But this time, you didn't wake up like Mom. Those words pierced Evan's heart. Dad's not going anywhere. But you're working. He pulled his daughter close. I'm right here. Ellie, I'm not going anywhere. But you work all day, and my heart is tired. Ms. Nora says the heart needs rest too. Evan swallowed hard. Where did she go now? Where did Ms. Nora go? Did she leave like Mom? That innocent question shattered something in Evan. For the first time since Sarah passed away, he allowed himself to truly feel the weight of his grief, his fear, his exhaustion. No, sweetheart. Ms. Nora isn't gone forever. I said some not-so-nice things. I should apologize. That's what you told me to do from a child's mouth. Evan held his daughter until she fell asleep. He had made up his mind. The next morning, Evan stood outside a community health clinic in a modest neighborhood, far from his usual world. He wore casual clothes instead of his usual suit. Inside, he asked for Nora. The receptionist looked surprised, but directed him to a small clinic room where Nora was organizing supplies. She looked up, clearly shocked to see him. Mr. Rhodes. Evan. He gently corrected her. Please. She's on guard. I owe you an apology. He starts. What I said was really harsh and untrue. I got angry because I was scared. Nora's posture is still defensive. Scared of what? Scared of what? Scared of failure. Ellie. Scared of losing her like I lost Sarah. Scared of admitting that I haven't handled things as well as I've pretended. He takes a deep breath, pulling a file from his jacket. I've made some decisions. I'm taking a 3-month medical leave from my company. I've signed up for a stress management program and a support group for single parents. He hands her the file. I've also arranged for regular health checkups and promised to follow the doctor's advice. It's all documented, signed, and witnessed, not because anyone forced me, but because I want to be present at Ellie's college graduation one day. Nora carefully takes the file. Why are you showing me this? Because you were right about everything. And because. He hesitates. The vulnerability is clear because Ellie needs you. You make her feel safe in a way I haven't been able to since Sarah passed. Nora studies him, carefully. And exactly what is he asking for? A second chance. He simply says, not forgiveness. I don't deserve that yet. But a chance to prove that I can change for Ellie, and maybe for myself too. Nora opens the file, reviewing the documents. Finally, she looks up, her expression softening a bit. Words are easy. Evan, change is hard. He nods, accepting the challenge. I know. That's why I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to watch me prove it. A smile flickers across her lips. Actions rather than words that I can respect. As he turns to leave, she calls after him. Evan, tell Ellie I'll visit this weekend if that's okay. The relief on his face says a lot. She likes that. So do I. It takes a lot of courage to admit that. When we are wrong, have you ever had to swallow your pride to mend a relationship? A series of moments unfold over the next 2 months. Evan sits in a circle with other parents at a support group, initially feeling uncomfortable. But gradually, he opens up about his struggles balancing work and parenting. He drives Ellie to school himself. Instead of sending her with a driver, he awkwardly tries to fit in with the other parents. In the home gym, he practices stress relief exercises with a physical therapist, learning to regulate his breathing when anxiety spikes. Nora visits on weekends, sometimes helping Ellie with her science homework, sometimes just reading together. Evan watches from a distance, gradually participating in their activities. At a checkup, Dr. Anderson assesses Evan's improving condition. The vital signs show your blood pressure has decreased. The signs of stress are improving. The signs of stress are improving. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. Evan and Ellie create a worry box where she can jot down things that scare her. Every night, they review them together. One note reads, I'm scared you'll start working constantly again. In the home office, Evan stares at his phone as his COO urgently asks for his input on an important decision. After some thought, he types, "I trust your judgment, handle it." Family time is non-negotiable now. One day, Nora comes over and finds Evan and Ellie baking cookies poorly. Dough is all over the kitchen. They're laughing. Evan looks up, catching Nora's gaze. There's something warm between them. At dinner one night with Nora there, Ellie innocently asks, "Ms. Nora, do you have a family?" An awkward moment of silence. Nora smiles gently. "I have my patients and a few very close friends, but no children." Ellie persists. "But why not?" Evan gently warns. "It's okay," Nora reassures him. "No, Ellie, I don't have kids." "Why not? You'd be a really good mom." The expression on Nora's face briefly reveals something like longing. Sometimes life takes unexpected turns, but that doesn't mean it can't be beautiful. Later, after Ellie has gone to bed, Evan and Nora sit on the balcony with cups of tea. "You never talk about your family," Evan observes carefully. Nora stares into the city lights. "Not much to tell. My parents passed away when I was in nursing school. No siblings. I'm sorry. Actually, that's why I became a cardiac nurse. My father died of a heart attack that could have been prevented with better care." Evan watches her silhouette in the dim light. "Is that also why you risked everything to report that malpractice case?" She meets his gaze. "We all have limits we don't cross. That's mine." "I admire that," he says gently, "when you persist in pursuing your principles no matter the cost." "What about you?" she asks. "What's your profession?" I thought that protecting Ellie would be enough. But I realize that just protection isn't sufficient. She needs me to be there, not just as a provider." Nora smiled brightly. "You have changed. Evan Rhodes." "Thank you." "No," she corrected him. "You have been working." I gestured towards the door. Their hands were resting on the table, inches apart but not touching, the distance gradually narrowing at its own perfect pace. 6 months after the party fell apart, Ellie's school auditorium was buzzing with excitement again. It was the annual talent show, and Ellie was about to perform a piano piece she had practiced for weeks. Backstage, she nervously peeked through the curtain. "What if I mess up?" Dad Evan knelt down to her eye level. "Then, you just keep going like we talked about. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about having the courage to try. Has Ms. Nora arrived yet? She's saving seats for us. She won't miss your big moment for anything." Ellie hugged him tight. "I'm so glad you don't have to work tonight. Nothing's more important than this," he promised. In the audience, Nora checked her watch. Evan should have been backstage by now. The show was about to start. Her phone buzzed with a message from Evan. "Need help. Backstage. Right corner." Panicked, she rushed through the crowded auditorium toward the backstage area. In a quiet corner, she found Evan sitting in a chair, pale-faced and breathing hard. "Evan, what's wrong?" He clutched his chest tight. He didn't want to scare Ellie. Nora instantly switched to nurse mode, checking his pulse and loosening his collar. "How long it started during today's meeting?" "I thought it was just stress. I'll call an ambulance," she said firmly. "No." He grabbed her wrist. "Ellie's performance. Can't miss it. This could be a heart attack. Evan, we don't want to take any chances." As she called emergency services, Evan's condition worsened. His breathing grew more labored. The pain intensified. The school principal approached. "Is everything okay? The show's about to start." Nora made a quick decision. "Mr. Rhodes is having a medical emergency. Please don't tell Ellie just yet. Let her perform first. We'll have help ready." The paramedics would arrive discreetly through the side entrance. As they stabilized Evan for transport, he squeezed Nora's hand. "Tell Ellie I'm proud of her. You tell her yourself." Nora insisted, fighting back tears. "Your story isn't over yet." Applause rose from the auditorium, followed by piano music. Ellie's performance had begun. "Go," Evan whispered. "Watch over her for me." Nora hurried to the auditorium, standing at the back as Ellie played beautifully. She recorded the performance on her phone, tears streaming down her face. When Ellie finished to warm applause, Nora met her backstage and gently explained that her dad had been taken to the hospital, but he promised to watch over me. Ellie looked confused and hurt. "He saw it, honey, and he'll watch it again." Nora showed her the recording. "But right now, Dad needs us to be brave. Can you do that?" Ellie nodded solemnly and took Nora's hand. At the hospital, tests confirmed Evan had suffered a mild heart attack, the result of years of stress and neglect, though he'd made progress recently. Hours later, he woke in his hospital room to find Ellie curled up asleep on the chair beside him, with Nora standing watch. He weakly asked as he noticed his phone on. "Did you record it?" he asked weakly, noticing his phone on the nightstand. Nora nodded. Every note was perfect. Evan's eyes welled up. "After everything, I almost missed it." "But you didn't," Nora said firmly. "You were there. Evan, you've been there every day for months now. One setback doesn't erase that progress. The doctor said if this had happened a year ago before I started making changes, but it didn't," she interrupted, "because you changed. And now, you'll keep healing. Careful not to disturb your IV line." Evan took her hand. "Tonight I almost lost everything. Looking at Ellie, looking at you. I realized something." "What's that?" Nora asked gently. "I'm not afraid anymore. Not to slow down. Not to ask for help. Not that." He hesitated. "Not to love again." Nora held her breath. They looked at each other with full understanding before both glanced at Ellie. Nora gently said, "One day at a time. We're not going anywhere. Sometimes it takes a health scare to realize what really matters in life." Has any crisis ever changed your perspective 1 year later? A small beach house with a long porch overlooking the ocean. Simple, peaceful, nothing like Evan's old penthouse apartment. Evan sat in a rocking chair reviewing papers, not business documents, but a children's book manuscript titled Dr. Hartwell's Big Adventure, with Ellie listed as co-author. Nora stepped out of the house carrying 2 cups of tea. She handed one to Evan, then sat down in the chair beside him. The simple engagement ring sparkled on her finger. "How's the patient info sheet coming along?" she asked, pointing to another stack of papers. "Almost done. The fund wants to distribute it to all 5 medical centers next month." The road fund shifted its focus under Evan's direction. Now it mainly funds cardiovascular care in underserved communities, with a special focus on preventive education. Evan is no longer the CEO of his company. He serves as chairman of the board, working limited hours while co-managing the fund with Nora. On the beach, Ellie plays with a puppy, her laughter carried by the breeze. Nora remarks that she seems happier than ever. "We all are," Evan replies, taking her hand. "I never thought I'd say this, but collapsing on stage was the best thing that ever happened to me." Nora raises an eyebrow. "Better than our engagement," he laughs. "Second best." A comfortable silence falls between them as they watch Ellie run along the shore. "Any regrets?" Nora asks. About stepping back from the business world, Evan considers the question carefully. "I spent years building a hotel empire so travelers could feel at home. Ironically, I never took the time to build a real home for Ellie and me." He squeezes Nora's hand. "The only thing I regret is that it took me so long to realize what truly matters." Ellie runs up the beach steps with the puppy, breathless and excited. "Mom, Dad, can we have dinner on the beach tonight?" Nora and Evan exchange a glance, hearing Ellie casually call her mother, a recent, precious development. "That sounds perfect to me." Nora smiled as Ellie ran back to the shore. Evan pulled Nora closer, gently kissing her temple. He said, "As a cardiac nurse, you're pretty good at healing broken hearts. Even CEOs." She teased, "Especially CEOs." He insisted, "Though I prefer recovering workaholics." Now, together, they watched the sunset paint the sky with brilliant colors, a family rebuilt from unexpected broken pieces. Stronger where it once shattered, the camera slowly pulls back, framing the 3 against the vast ocean, a visual metaphor for the journey from isolation to connection, from crisis to healing, from surviving to truly living. The narrator concludes that sometimes our greatest strength isn't standing alone, but allowing ourselves to be supported when we fall. Through the journey of Evan, Nora, and little Ellie, we are reminded that sometimes it takes a moment of collapse to truly rise. What seemed like a downfall became a turning point, a second chance to heal, to reconnect, and to love again. Evan, once a powerful CEO who believed he could carry the world alone, discovered that real strength lies in vulnerability, in accepting help, and in choosing presence over perfection. If this story moved you, We invite you to leave a message of support for Evan, a father who found the courage to change for the sake of his daughter. What do you think lies ahead for this growing family? A deeper bond, a new beginning? Don't forget to subscribe to Touching Tales Hub for more heartwarming stories that inspire, uplift, and remind us of what truly matters. Because sometimes, the next story might just speak directly to your soul.